Honourable members, good morning, Minister Lond, HOD McDonald. I see Major General Damoy of the South African Police Service, as well as our procedural staff, and also residents of the Western Cape that might be following our committee meeting this morning. This is the Standing Committee on Social Development, and it's Tuesday, the 2nd of September 2025. A warm welcome. I just need to determine, Ms. Jamke, good morning. We do have a quorum and we can proceed.
Morning, Chair, morning, members. Yes, we do have a quorum. We can proceed.
Thank you so much. Honourable members and Minister, departmental colleagues, today we have a briefing by the Department of Social Development and the South African Police Service on the coordinated interventions, data-driven strategies, and the legislative measures to address the surge in child killings in the Western Cape. We have received the presentation from the department yesterday and shortly the presentation from the South African Police Service as well. Honourable members, at this stage, I'm going to give over for introductions, just for our record purposes as well. My name is Wendy Kaiser-Philander, and I'm the chairperson for this committee. Honourable members, you may proceed.
Thomas Walters, a member of the committee.
Morning, Chair. Good morning, colleagues, and good morning to our presenters. I'm Member Boyson, a member of this committee.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Peter Johnson, member of this committee.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Donita Stevens. I'm a member of this committee.
Good morning, Aisha Kasim, member of this committee.
Thank you very much, honourable members. I then move over to the Department of Social Development.
Good morning, Honourable Chairperson, Honourable members, Robert MacDonald, Head of Department.
Minister Lond. Minister.
Sorry, Chairperson, just as I was about to speak, my laptop gave in, which is absolutely fantastic. So I just switched over to my phone. If it gave in 30 seconds before, you wouldn't have caught me out. But good morning. And my name is Jacques Lond, and I'm the Minister responsible for social development in the Western Cape.
Thank you very much, Minister, for joining us this morning. Always wonderful to have you with us. And then over to the South African Police Service. Major General, good morning.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning to all the members. I'm Major General Makashalala, responsible for crime detection. I'm with Major General Damoy, who is responsible for policing in the province. I just want to apologize for the PC. I think he has conveyed that he is engaged somewhere with the external stakeholders. Rearrangement. Thank you, Chair.
Indeed. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedules to also be with us this morning. If I can perhaps ask if you can just, in the meantime, just adjust your sound. It is a bit distorted on my side, or it's a bit soft. You can perhaps just see to that so that when we get to the presentation, it would be a bit clear. Honourable members, then the purpose of today's briefing is for the committee to engage with the Provincial Department of Social Development and the South African Police Service to gain deeper insight into the coordinated intervention, as I said, data-driven strategies and legislative responses, as mentioned earlier, being implemented to address the alarming rise in the child killings in the Western Cape. So this briefing, honourable members, will remember that we had a two-day stakeholder engagement 27th and the 30th of June this year, and during which several challenges and gaps in the current interventions and legislation were identified. So it became quite evident that further collaboration and clarity are required to ensure that more effective protection for vulnerable children in the province can thus be established. Honorable members, at this point, without further ado, I'm going to give over to the department. Perhaps just ask Minister Lon, do you have any opening remarks before we hand over to the department for the presentation?
There we go. I'm back on this side. Thank you, Chairperson. So from my side, no, I do just, and I've said this before, but you shouldn't take it for granted. I do appreciate the work that yourself and the committee is doing, one in holding us accountable, but also shining a spotlight on very important issues that we face as a province. And it is when both of these legs of Parliament work together that we make the impact. So from my side, I really want to appreciate the work you're doing. And then from the department side, Dr. Robert McDonald, the HOD, will be doing the presentation, and I will be online for when we do the question and answer session as well. Thank you so much, Chair. HOD.
Thank you very much, Minister. Honourable members, can we then agree, or perhaps you must give me an indication, will we deal with DSD's presentation and then take questions and answers while it's still fresh in our memories, and then go over to the South African Police Service and then subsequently deal with questions and answers? Is that in order, members? So that we can excuse the two and then move over to our next part of the committee meeting. Is that in order, members?
In order, Chair.
I see thumbs up. Thank you, Member Boyson, as well. Over to you, Dr. McDonald. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I'll just share my presentation. Can you see my screen okay there?
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. McDonald.
Okay, thank you very much, Chair. And then I will just put it into presenter mode. Hopefully it will continue to work. There we go. Okay, so excuse me. So we've been asked to present on the Department of Social Development Services for the provision of safety to children in the Western Cape. The Department of Social Development has a mandate in terms of the Constitution and the Children's Act to provide child protection services. And these are aimed at preventing not only murders of children, but also abuse, neglect, and other forms of vulnerability in children. So there is an overall set of services that we render to children for safety, because murders are one aspect of, and the most severe aspect of child safety issues, but there are more, higher numbers of children who are also subjected to abuse, neglect, and being orphaned and so forth. In the province, we have about 43,000 children in the foster care system
Dr.
at the moment.
McDonald?
Yes.
My apologies to interrupt you. We are still on the first page
Yes,
of the presentation. It seems like, yeah, there we go.
Okay, there we go.
Thank you.
Thanks. So, Chair, I think looking at the statistics, the Department of Health and Wellness data, which is gathered from Department of Health's forensic pathology services, the last 3 years of data that they have available, you will see there in 2022, there were 163 child murders, in 2023, 197, and 2024, 197. So a total of 557 child murders in the last 3 years of data that has been collected. The 2025 figures, of course, will still have to be collected during the course of this year. If you look at the pattern, you'll see that the majority of the murders are occurring in the age group of 15 to 19 years. The children are and of course 10 to 14 there is an increase as well over the younger years, but primarily this points to the high incidence of gang violence and the involvement of teenagers in gang shootings and gang activity. So this is the primary driver of child murders in the Western Cape is gang activity. Just as a point of comparison, looking at the child murders during the period 2013 to 2018. Sorry, I didn't include this slide in the presentation sent yesterday, but I thought I'd add it just so that you can see in the committee what the trend has been in 10 years earlier. And the figures are somewhat similar. You'll see there in 2013 to 14, there was about 175 murders. In 2014-15, there was about 215. The highest rate was in 2017-18 when it nearly reached 240 murders. So the figures for the child murders are staying approximately the same across each year at a very high rate. But again, the pattern was the same during this period, and that was that gang murders are driving that. So teenagers involved in gang violence, and a lot of it is gun related and shootings. So in terms of the work that social development does to protect children, I think a lot of what we are doing in social development is focused at the younger children. So it's aimed at really preventing children being exposed to violence and abuse in the home. But there is also services that we render that address issues of children's involvement in risk behavior, such as gangs and crime. And I'll speak to that a little bit later in the presentation. So in terms of how DSD goes about rendering child protection, some of the members of the Portfolio Committee will be, or Standing Committee will be quite familiar with social development service delivery model, but I'll just go over it quickly again for the record, and that is that we have the service delivery model structured around 4 levels of intervention, which is a continuum of services that's aimed at addressing children's needs depending on the level of risk that they're exposed to. So awareness and education is something that we do broadly, but particularly focusing in high-risk communities where we have high rates of children at risk. Then there's prevention and early intervention services where we pick up children who are at risk but do not necessarily need to be removed from their home circumstances, but may need interventions. This is also an area where we assist with children who are identified as beginning to show risky behavior in school, for example, if they're getting involved in violent incidents and so on. Then this is where social development can assist with programs to avoid escalation of the risk behavior. The statutory services is the services that most people are familiar with when it comes to social development, and that usually involves dealing with children at high risk who need to be removed from their home and placed into safe care or foster care. It also involves placing children who are involved in high risk behavior into the alternative care system. All of this is done through the children's courts, or in the case of children who are in conflict with the law, it is done through the criminal courts, although many of the cases of children arrested then are transferred to children's courts and dealt with as children's court matters. Finally, there's reunification, where possible, children who are in the alternative care system are reunited with their families if it is possible and desirable and in the best interests of the child. So these services are rendered by DSD's own staff as well as through partnerships with NPOs, especially the designated child protection organizations like your Child Welfare, RCFFA, BDISA, and so forth. So in terms of awareness and the types of services we are rendering there, primarily strengthening resilience in children and families to prevent child abuse, neglect, exploitation, trafficking, gender-based violence, and teenage pregnancy, and also working with parents on their rights and responsibilities, and also making sure that professionals like doctors, teachers, nurses and so on know how to complete Form 22s and 23s when reporting cases of child abuse and neglect in terms of the Children's Act. Prevention and early intervention programs. These are rendered both by DSD and by the designated child protection organizations. And these involve parenting skills training. Sometimes these are court-ordered processes where parents are actually ordered to attend training in order to keep their child if they are struggling to care properly for their child. They may be ordered to do a parenting skills program by the court. There's also life skills programs for children and youth, where they are involved in, particularly where they're involved in risky behavior. There's therapeutic and developmental services. There's bullying interventions that we run sometimes together with the education department. There's programs to deal with teenage pregnancy, whether it's prevention or whether it is assisting to minimize the risks associated with young girls who have given birth at an earlier age. Also behavior modification programs for children, and then early warning systems such as our Eye on the Child, the GBV ambassador and so on, which is where we have community volunteers involved in keeping their eyes on keeping their eyes open for the department and letting us know if they pick up cases of children at risk or also victims of GBV, and providing information to the public. Some of the examples here, we've got the social relief programs run by RCFF, Eye on the Child, which is a child welfare initiative, the Boy Girl Child program run by Child Welfare South Africa. We also use safety and risk assessments for children when determining what the appropriate intervention is, whether it's early intervention or whether we need to initiate statutory services. And then also a core package of services for at-risk children and their families in the community via the RISIA sites and drop-in centers. RISIA sites used to be called Isibindi, and they are involving community-based child and youth care workers who are trained up and deployed into communities where they work with children in their homes. They go and do home visits, they check that the children are okay, make sure that they're doing their homework, make sure that the home situation is conducive to their well-being, and then also if children are involved in programs, also assist them with in participating in those programs. The programs targeting children at risk and children engaging in high-risk behavior we'll speak a little bit more about later. In terms of statutory child protection services, there are the investigations of child abuse, neglect, and exploitation, which are initiated usually when we receive a report of such a case. Sometimes the court also picks up on cases and orders our social workers to investigate these allegations. When the investigations are done, we use the safety and risk assessment tool as the initial check to see if there's a need for a more intensive intervention, and then if the risk assessment points to a child needing to be removed, then the necessary measures are put in place, including immediate removal if the child is at high risk, or removal through a court order if there's time to initiate a court application. The alternative care system, the committee will be familiar with the temporary safe care, foster care, cluster foster care, adoption, and then the 54 child and youth care centers, which are managed by NPO, CYCC, and they provide safe care and custody for children who were victims of abuse and negligence and who are not easily placed in foster care. So we find a lot of our older children go into the NPO run CYCCs because it's very hard to find foster parents who can manage them. This is not necessarily children who have severe behavioral challenges, but it's just children who don't adapt well to foster placements. Then there's a number of other services as well, where we have mediation and parenting plans for parents who divorce, that structure the care arrangements for children, and then all the supervision of foster care, children in foster care, as well as support groups for foster parents and support groups for foster children. Foster children generally can be quite a high-risk group in their own right because of the trauma many of them have experienced, and so we have to provide support to them as well, because they are quite at risk of being drawn into some of the negative activities like gangs and crime. So we have to make sure that we provide that support for them. In terms of the facilities for children with behavioural challenges, also statutory child protection services, we have the Kraaifontein Raw Treatment Centre. Raw stands for Reception, Observation and Referral Centre, and that is really like an entry point for children into the facility system. And there they are subjected to a 9-week assessment for youth who are difficult to place. And that's to advise on the most appropriate placement. And it's usually a precursor to young people being placed into secure care for more intensive support services. The Kensington Child and Youth Care Centre also provides drug treatment services for children who are in the secure care environment. And then we have our 4 secure care centres, which is Horizon, Bonitoon, Lindelani and Clanwilliam, and those are for children with behavioural challenges, and many of them do have mental health challenges alongside that. And then we also have drug treatment services available in those centres too for children who need them. And then facilities for children and services for children in conflict with the law. Not strictly speaking part of what is termed child protection, but it's relevant for this presentation because a lot of the children in here are involved in gangs. So we do have probation assessments and reports advising the court of the most appropriate interventions or sentences where children have been charged. We do have community-based diversion programs for children who are less serious offenders. But for more serious offenders, we have detention of awaiting trial child offenders, as well as sentence youth detention at secure care centres. These centres have a number of structured programs, and those include offence-related programs such as court-ordered diversion programs in-house. So sometimes the court orders that these diversion programs be completed in the child and youth care centres. Then some of these include things like homicide, anger management and sexual offences programs. The developmental programs such as sports, arts and culture, and some of the children do really well in these areas and start participating on a national level, even in the sports space, and it really helps them to rehabilitate. Educational programs such as formal education and vocational training. We do have educators in the secure care centres for both the sentenced youth and the children who are placed for behavioural challenges. Then there are release preparation programs for children who are reaching the end of their sentence, and independent living and aftercare programs to assist children as a step down means after they finish their time in a facility. In terms of reunification services, these are services that assist children and families to maintain their level of reconnection with their families or communities of origin, which includes family reunification, transitional care, exit programs for children in alternative care who are 15 or 16 years and older, and then aftercare services to children who've been reunified into the care of their biological parents. In terms of strengthening child protection services, there's still a lot of work to be done. I think the capacity of our child and youth care centres, although I haven't mentioned it here, but it's a big challenge at the moment. We are facing significant pressure for placements in secure care due to the high number of young offenders, and we are in the process of expanding our facilities. The funds have been made available for this purpose by the Provincial Treasury, and the Department of Infrastructure is busy with the necessary works to expand our facilities to create more space. But also we're looking at coordination and partnerships where we have revived the provincial and regional child protection forums after these forums went into remission during the COVID period. So those are functioning fully again, and then also increasing intersectoral collaboration through things like the Western Cape Safety Plan, where DSD is a key role player in the area-based team sites, and we participate together with education, Department of Health, and also SAPS and the LEAP officers and the municipal officials. So there's quite a good synergy in some of those sites where things have been established. Also strengthening intergovernmental collaboration, particularly around child murders. DSD is a member of the child death review panels, which review each child murder to ascertain what could have been done to prevent, if there is a possibility that it could have been prevented, so that we can pick up if there's weaknesses in the social development or other systems, and then also to understand the patterns of crime against children. So the death review panels are chaired by the Department of Health's Forensic Pathology Services. Information management, excuse me, and social work systems. The rollout of our SWIMS, or social work integrated management system, is designed to strengthen case management for children at risk and prevent cases falling through the cracks. And we are in the process now of rolling out that system to the Department of Education social workers, as well as to the child protection organization social workers. So we aim to have all social workers on that system very shortly, so that we have a fully integrated case management system. The next thing is we're looking at the Department of Health social workers as well, to integrate them. So this is really to make sure we've got a much stronger case management system in the province. This is also going to help us unlock efficiencies, which can improve the quality of social work services. We've also been in the process of implementing the electronic child protection register. And then this has been also helping to improve the management of reports of child abuse and neglect, and make sure that none of those cases fall through the cracks. In terms of increasing access and inclusion for children to protective services, we've been working on improving access to therapeutic services and mental health care for children and families. There's a huge need for additional services for children with psychiatric disorders. There's a lot of pressure on the Department of Health psychiatric facilities, particularly also children with co-occurring disorders of substance use and mental health. So these services are needing to be expanded to meet the need. And the Department of Health is also working with the Department of Social Development on step-down facilities for children with mental health needs that are not acute but rather chronic, so that they can be accommodated for longer periods than the existing facilities provide for. Also strengthening transitional support programs for youth aging out of care, particularly we are now looking at independent living opportunities, expanding these for children who've come out of ordinary child and youth care centres, and seeing how we can connect them with things like bursaries and job opportunities. Then also the promotion of prevention and awareness programs. We are in the process of scaling up parenting programs. There's good evidence to show that parenting programs can really help reduce risk, child and youth risk behavior. So we've been working with the Department of the Premier and a number of experts in the field to strengthen the evidence-based service, or the extent to which our services conform to evidence-based practices in the parenting sector, both services rendered by social development as well as services rendered by the NGO sector. The support for child protection awareness programs is an ongoing piece of work that our department has been doing together with other parties like the Children's Commissioner, the SAPS, and the Department of Health. And then promoting reporting of child abuse, neglect, and exploitation, and more recently also trafficking in children is becoming an increasing issue that we're needing to sensitize stakeholders about. So I think that is quite a rapid summary of our services. Obviously, there's a lot more detailed information we can provide the Standing Committee with, but this is an overview, I think, as a point of departure. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Dr. McDonald. We welcome the presentation. Thank you very much for the insight, and as the practice, if there's any more information that members do require, we will definitely do so through the various mechanisms. Honorable members, as agreed at this stage, I will now afford an opportunity for any questions that you might have or any comments that you would want to make based on the presentation. If you can kindly indicate by raise of hands or indicate in the chat function, please, members. I do not see, I recognize Member Boyson.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, mine is not a question, but it's a comment, Chair, and that is to recognize the work done by the department under tremendous stress. And Chairperson, I'm just thinking back, and I'm not sure when you led us with that 2-day session with all the stakeholders. I do think, Chairperson, that somewhere along the line, Chairperson, we also need to get the religious fraternities, also to spread the message out there and to discourage what is happening in the society. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Member Boyson, and indeed as part of our invitees were the fraternity at the time, but we will definitely from our side, as the oversight component and what we are trying to achieve in this committee, we will again extend an invite to the fraternity as well. I recognize the Honorable Member Kasim.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and thank you for the department for the presentation as well. I just wanted to check, is there a possibility that the department possibly have much more info on the child murders in the Western Cape? I just wanted to get an idea in terms of the stats that were given, where exactly did this child murders take place, which areas, what was gang related, what was rape or because I see we received a report from SAPS which indicates the different areas as well and if it was gang related or not. So does the department have that information as well? If yes, could that possibly be sent to the committee? And then also, do you have the latest stats? Because I see this one only indicates 2022 to 2024, where SAPS who presented a report has the stats for this year as well. And then I wanted to check in terms of gang violence and the stats that you'll possibly be giving in terms of gang-related murders. I wanted to check in areas like Mitchell's Plain and Nova Park and Khayelitsha, among others, how many centers are there that deals with behavioral issues or deals with gang-related issues or even school programs? I know that would possibly fall under the Western Cape Education Department, but this department specifically, how many centers do you have or programs do you have in areas like that, specifically in Mitchell's Plain and Mendenberg and Nova Park and Khayelitsha as well? Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Member Kasim. Member Walters, can I ask Dr. McDonald to deal with Member Kasim, and then I will come back to you for the second round. Dr. McDonald.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. In terms of the details, we rely on the Department of Health for the statistics on child deaths because those come from their forensic pathology services. So we can request them to provide a breakdown of that nature. Or alternatively, I don't know if the committee is calling health, but they could also request that directly from health. But the statistics on the murders and the details of the murders is all kept by forensic pathology services. But yeah, I think if need be, the committee could request that in writing, and we can get it from forensic pathology. And then in terms of the requests around the services for children with behavioural challenges and related matters in Mitchell's Plain and other areas. We can provide more detailed information in writing, but I can say that, I mean, we obviously have a local office of social development in Mitchell's Plain, but there's also a number of NGOs we do fund in the area that run community-based services. We also do have substance abuse treatment services there and substance abuse programs in a number of the schools, school-based substance abuse programs. Alongside that, the secure care centres service broader areas. So the secure care centre will have children from the high-risk areas. And if we look at the data on murder statistics, the majority of the children that are in our secure care facilities are from the areas where there are high murder rates. So they do service all of those areas, but the centres themselves are not situated in those communities, except for Friedelis, which is situated in Elsie's River, and it actually doesn't work well having a centre in that area because there's a lot of gun violence around the facility, and sometimes there are attempts to get the children in the facility. So it's actually quite risky having a secure care facility in the actual area where the violence is occurring. It's better to have it out of the area, and we've got most of our facilities are outside of the urban area. It does seem to work better that way. It also keeps it reduces the risk of drugs being sold through the fences or from people nearby, and it reduces the temptation for abscondments as well of children, because if they're far away from anything that's attractive to them, they're less likely to try to leave. But we can certainly provide a more detailed breakdown of the exact types of services that are rendered in different areas if we could be provided which specific areas the committee would like that information on.
Definitely. Thank you very much, Dr. McDonald. Member Kasim, since we are now with your question, do you have any follow-up pertaining to that? Answer provided?
Thank you, Chairperson. Nothing for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And then you will allude us when we get to recommendations and resolutions based on the information still required. Thank you, Member. I recognize the Honourable Member Walters.
Yes, thank you, Chair. My question is, well, a fairly straightforward one, but it might be a complicated answer. Is there a relationship with crime intelligence, with social development and crime intelligence in that respect? Yeah, perhaps if you can just expand on that.
Thank you very much, Member Walters. And then I recognize Member Stevens.
Thank you, Chair. Sorry for that. I was struggling a bit with sound this morning. I've just got a question on relating to Member Isa's question. I also would like to know safe houses or secure services in the northern areas. If they can just give us an indication whereabout is that centres. Seeing that we had a problem, an issue in our area about a week ago, where 3 children were removed from the mother that was locked up. And we spent like almost 4 hours at the police station. First of all, they were struggling to get the social worker involved. And then the social worker said she's off duty. And eventually they got the social worker to work with the police. And then they were struggling to get a safe place for the 3 little ones for the evening. And we waited until 2 in the morning before they could get somebody to take the children in for the evening. So yes, if they can also let us know in the northern areas, whereabout is this secure care centres or safe houses for children, especially when something like that happen again, especially in the middle of the night, because the youngest child was 2 years old, and it was really stressful to look for a place in the evening to look after their children. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Member Stevens. I'm going to hand over to Dr. McDonald to respond, and then Member Kasim, I will come back to you for the 3rd round. Dr. McDonald.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. In terms of the question from Honourable Member Walters, is there a relationship between DSD and crime intelligence? Yes, there is. We have, particularly we are assisted by crime intelligence when it comes to matters of trafficking, and then also where there is a potential risk or threat to our services and our staff. And then also when it comes to special operations that might have a requirement for social development involvement to assist with children in a case. So there is a relationship between us, but I think when it comes to the way the department operates, I mean, we more commonly work with the SAPS FCS, which is the Family Crime and Sexual Offences units. They work more with us in terms of the day-to-day cases that they deal with. In terms of the question from Honourable Member Stevens, safe houses in the northern areas, I think also just to distinguish between secure care and safe houses. Secure care is for children with behavioural challenges, so it's secure in the sense that it also contains them, and it's designed to prevent abscondment. So those facilities will generally only take children of 13 and up. We don't take small children in those facilities because they are for children with behavioural challenges. They're not designed for small children. When it comes to safe houses, social development, we're very much reliant on safety parents who are volunteers who are willing to take in children for the duration of the period in which the social workers are investigating the case of child abuse or neglect, and then submitting the report to court for a longer term foster placement. So safe houses or safety parents normally take a child for a maximum of 3 months, which is the 90-day period in which social workers need to finalize a court process for their placement in foster care. And unfortunately, it can be challenging for the social workers to find these places because we have to recruit the safety parents, and safety parents have to be willing. They're essentially volunteers. And if we don't find a lot of willing safety parents in an area, then it means that we run into a shortage of placements. Equally, though, we do have a fallback on the NGO-run child and youth care centres. Some of them also serve as places of safety. So in terms of information about safe houses in the northern suburbs, we can certainly provide that info as requested. But the entry point for safe houses is through the social worker dealing with the case, because the social workers have the databases of the safety parents. And if you have a situation where there's a child after hours who needs placement, the SAPs are provided with the number of the after hours social workers to call in that social worker to arrange safety placement. And that social worker will have the database of safety parents. But as I say, if it's late at night, it can be challenging for the social worker to get a hold of someone. And whereas 3 children at once, it's particularly challenging because some safety parents may not be open to taking 3 children at once. So I acknowledge the difficulty, and we certainly will provide information any information that might assist the Honourable Member Stevens with future such instances. But if the Honourable Member gets stuck, we also provide a number, a central number, after hours number, that the Honourable Member can use as well if for whatever reason there's a struggle with the after hours social worker. There shouldn't be, because the SAPs are always provided with the after hours, the numbers of the after hours social workers on duty. But we'll provide that as a backup. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Dr. McDonald. I was just going to refer to that number as well. Thank you very much. Honourable members, are there any further follow-ups on your question, Member Walters, and your question, Member Stevens?
I'm fine, Chair.
You're covered, Member Stevens?
I'm covered, Chair, for now.
Thank you very much, Member. And you've also got a request for additional information, of which we will deal with during our session then. Member Kassim, you're welcome to proceed, Member.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, I just wanted to follow up on the safety placements. I actually forgot to ask this question earlier. I received about 7 calls in the same week earlier last month with regards to specifically parents in Mitchell's Plain, where children are being recruited and gangsters are going as far as recruiting the kids and threatening the kids on school. So parents in Mitchell's Plain are asking, not only Mitchell's Plain, I think it's obviously it's an issue all over. Are there any programs of safety or safety placement programs for such kids, innocent kids who have no relation to gangsters or to drugs, but who are being recruited and forced into gangs? Because these families are planning to send the kids out of Cape Town to go and live with families for their own safety, just to get the kids out of that environment. But when it comes to finance, that is obviously going to be an issue because sending the kids out of Mitchell's Plain to go and live with family for their own safety is going to come with having to pay rent at the family's house. It's transport to Saldanha or to Overberg or wherever they're going to live. Is there currently space in the centres that the department currently have in Cape Town to accommodate not necessarily children with behavioral issues, but children who are at risk to being recruited into these gangs, like the families who made contact with me earlier last month? Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Member Kasim. Dr. McDonald.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I think it would be good if we could be provided with the details of the families involved so that our social workers can contact and just see, what ways they might be able to assist them. I think the reality is that the centers we run are for children who are they don't have caregivers, so they would have to be found to be children in need of care and protection before being placed into those facilities. So our facilities are only for children placed via a court order because they're found to be in need of care and protection. These children, the families are caring for them, so they wouldn't be removed from the parental care through a court process. It sounds almost like they need some form of refuge in a maybe in a dormitory or boarding arrangement, perhaps. That is closer to the description of the type of accommodation, but I understand the particular dilemma. It's a serious issue, and I wouldn't say there's an immediate solution for that that the government offers at this stage. But I think if we can at least maybe contact those families that the honourable member spoke to, so we can see if there is some kind of assistance that can be rendered, because there's maybe another solution that could be found for them. Thanks.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Dr. McDonald. Honourable members, any other questions? I see Member Stevens.
I'm sorry, Chair, just one last question. I just want to know if there's a safe house and the social development put children there. I know then there's no funding, but somebody just told me now about the safe house in Kraaifontein area. But the lady is struggling with funding. They don't get any funding. So most of the time there's no food for the children. That's why they don't want to take in more children, because they can't provide for the children. What can we do about that?
Thank you very much, Member Stevens. Dr. McDonald.
Thank you, Chair. The Department of Social Development pays safety fees to safety parents when a child is placed by court order with the safety parent. I think where people are running safe houses where children come informally that are not placed through a court, then there wouldn't be a safety fee involved. The safety fees are only paid when the child is placed by a court order. So if the honourable member could perhaps indicate or send us the details of the safety parent in question, we can then check and see if the safety parent is supposed to be receiving safety parent fees, and then if not, to see how to assist them to get on the system so that in future they can get safety parent fees, because we do pay the fees. Admittedly, they're not a huge amount, but they should assist a little bit with food and nappies and things like that. We also have a starter pack for safety parents when the child is first placed with them, which includes, especially for babies, formula, nappies, and so on. But I think the question would be whether this safety parent is actually working with the social workers or whether it's something that is informal. But if it's formal and it's done through the courts, then the parents should be receiving safety parent fees.
Dr. McDonald, on that question, may I ask what is the amount paid and how often is that? Is it weekly? Is it bi-weekly or monthly? And is it also a fluctuated amount based on whether it's a baby or a more grown child? What is the process according to the safety fees?
Sorry, I was muted there. The chair, it is 34 or nearly 35 Rand a day, which has been increased recently, but it's still for us too low. We're trying to increase it again. It's a one size amount, so it's not it doesn't differentiate between children. But that safety fee amount is, as I say, also supplemented with a starter pack for small children. But it is paid, I think, monthly. But I think we can also reach arrangements with safety parents as and when required. So there's some flexibility. We also get some aggravation as well when there's delays in payment of that. And I've had to deal with a couple of cases where there's been delays in payment of safety fees. It gets a little bit tricky because sometimes you sit with a situation where there is a court order outstanding, and then the payment doesn't go through because of a delay with the court order being received or issued. So it is a little bit tricky sometimes. But I think generally speaking, it's not as much as we'd want it to be.
Thank you very much, Dr. McDonald. Minister, I saw your hand.
No, it's I thought of coming, but then I removed it. But since you did see it, Chair, I actually asked HOD last week, and they indicated that the fee is now up to 41 Rand a day. But as the HOD correctly said, there is a continuous engagement that it might not always be where we want to be. And then on the secure care centres, the HOD did flag the one in Elsie's. But I mean, it's something that we have been flagging with different sister departments, but there's a waiting list. For instance, in our level 3 facilities, that I think it's 520. But with that, we need to then make sure that there's an increase in staff capacity as well. So I mean, staff capacity will then have to almost triple or just over triple. So that speaks to it as well, where the committee can maybe help us, that we make sure we get the necessary funding, and we obviously do our work on that. But the department is really doing their utmost with the limited funding, but there is a big need, and especially in our secure care centres. I mean, Chair, we have taken you in the committee through some of these facilities, and you see the diligence, the attention to detail, but also the care that's being put into to try and rehabilitate and get the kids on the right track. And unfortunately, that is an expensive exercise, but it's needed. And there's a need for that in the province, and that's why we are lobbying to get the expansion of those services as well.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Minister. Members, any follow-ups based on the response received? I don't see any further hands. And then perhaps just Dr. McDonald, I think from my side, we have seen, and I mean, the indicators that you've presented to us is clear as to what we see in our constituencies, in our communities, and obviously what members of the public experience on a daily basis within their respective communities. Those indicators that indeed shows and confirms as well this morning based on the teenage killings and also by means how they are killed, but also the increase. And I mean, if I understood correctly, when he showed this continuation and an increase as from 2013 already, but also, you know, the deep-rooted social challenges that requires not just government to step in, but as Member Boyson also rightfully earlier mentioned on this, there's an array of stakeholders that needs to be involved for this challenge to be ultimately curbed. So, Dr. McDonald, perhaps just what are the implementing factors? I mean, we haven't seen a decrease. We haven't seen these killings stop. We know what the issue is. You made mention of gang violence. How does the department ultimately adjust your priorities to make sure that there's indeed focus and a determined effort with those various stakeholders to get to the root causes of those 15 to 19-year-olds within the various programs through education, through children that doesn't attend school anymore. How do you engage in that respect, Dr. McDonald, and also the collaboration with SAPS ultimately, with our community leaders, with the various NGOs? Member made mention of the faith-based organizations. I mean, through that collaborative approach, that is the only way in which we can really see or expect a difference when it comes to this surge. But yes, I made mention also now of the targeted approach from the department side. So we know exactly what is happening in the space. We know the age group. We know exactly how they are killed. And we understand also the influences within the communities that causes that. So I would just would want to hear more, or for you to expand a bit on what the department's approach with those various stakeholders and the collaborative efforts are, and also perhaps if there's any plan going forward in addressing this scourge. Thank you very much, Dr. McDonald.
Thank you very much, Chair. And also just to correct myself, yes, thank you to the Minister for that. Since 1 April, it is 41 Rand per day. Still not enough, of course, for the safety parent fees. I think, Chairperson, in terms of your question around the trends. Firstly, I think it is significant to note that before COVID, the statistics were actually slightly higher than they are now for child murders. But also the increase in the last 3 years reflects 2022, the lower numbers for 2022 also reflect the general trend in crime statistics, which were a bit lower coming out of the COVID period. So I think that will skew the statistics slightly in terms of the trend. So overall, I would say that in the last 10 years, we've seen not really a escalation or rapid escalation, but more of a stable plateau of child murder rate, which is still way too high. But it does reflect also the very much the very difficult to shift gang situation that we have in the Western Cape, because the gangs are so institutionalized in communities that government doesn't have the power on its own, as you've noted, to even try to dislodge that influence. In communities where gangs are prevalent, many of the community members look to the gangs for their policing needs. They look to the gangs for their social needs and for employment opportunities. It's a very deeply entrenched part of some communities. So the children are being pressured into joining gangs, as one of the other honourable members mentioned. and it's extremely difficult for those children not to take up that option, because their safety is often dependent on that, but also because they have older family members involved in gangs. And we found that a lot of the children who have been murdered in gang-related violence, they've got older siblings who've been to prison, or they have a parent who's been to prison. So there is family connections. Gang members are in the family. Gang members are neighbors. They are. It's very deeply entrenched. For us in social development, I think what we've seen a lot of is children who are getting into gangs that would need to be removed from their circumstances, and that is why we've been pushing to expand our facility space, because a lot of these children, if they stay on the street, they're going to die. And we've had magistrates, threatening to put me into prison if I don't find a space for a child, because this child is literally on a gang's hit list, and is going to be killed imminently if the child doesn't get placed. So we completely understand the urgency of these kind of cases, and that's why we've been pushing to expand our secure care facility space. So that, I think, is at the most extreme end, the kind of things we are having to do as a department to try and mitigate the risks of these young people. And there are many kids who go into our facilities, they come out much empowered on the other end. They are able to completely rebuild their lives and go in a different direction. So I think there's a lot of value in that. It's not a nail them and jail them kind of approach that we're adopting here. We're trying to actually assist these children turn their lives around. So I think that's the one major arm of what we do as social development in the space of children at risk in the gang space. But at the same time, as you've correctly pointed out, Chair, there's also the need for collaboration and community level, and that is what the safety plan aims to achieve by developing the area-based teams, which is an intersectoral approach that also pulls in civil society. And we're also looking at programs like Planet Youth, as well as Isibindi and the drop-in centers, community-based services that are often done in partnership with religious organizations as well, to try and assist at community level where the children are at. But I think the reality is that we need to tailor our solutions to the specific needs in each community. Where things are too severe that a community-based intervention is not going to work, then sometimes the removal of the child out of that situation is the only option. And there's the other challenge we're sitting with is, of course, our own social workers are placed at risk as well when they intervene in these cases. We've had a number of incidents where social workers have removed children from a family with gang affiliations, and then they are then threatened for removing that child. So there is, we have to work with the SAPs when we deal with these kind of cases, and we have to have support from the community. So it's an uphill battle with the resources we are sitting with. But if we work in collaboration with the SAPs, the LEAP, and the other departments and civil society, we are making some inroads. I think Mitchell's Plain is one of the areas where the area-based team is starting to get well underway. And we are supporting that. And the Planet Youth initiative was launched there recently, where we're going to see work with the young people in the community to help them to become more aware of their potential and their alternative opportunities that are available to them. So I think that the collaboration is looking promising. We've got good buy-in locally, and we want to see that model in a number of the other areas. So it's a continuum. There's some communities I think we're going to be able to work well with. There's some where there's much more intensive work that needs to be done because the gang culture is too entrenched for government to immediately shift it. But it doesn't mean to say that we give up. But I think in the end, our big investments for the next 3-year period, particularly, is going to be around the facilities and around the safety plan, and also just improving, as I've mentioned in my presentation, the capacity of our social work services, and then also looking at pulling in the school-based social workers closer to us so that we get earlier referrals of children at risk and more effective referrals from the schools, because the schools are picking up these situations quite early. And if we intervene earlier, we've got a better chance as well of assisting. So yeah, I think that's the picture generally, but of course there are specific plans in the safety plan, in the other provincial strategic plan priorities that go into a lot more detail on what is envisaged for this. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much, Dr. McDonald. Honourable members, any final questions to the department? I do not see any hands, and we will definitely, as members have indicated, send further recommendations or resolutions through to the Department of Social Development. And honourable colleagues, I think it's quite clear that obviously we have a great concern when it comes to the young people in our province, but it is also quite evident that government cannot do this alone. So I think from our side, we actually need to have a more focused and concerted effort to make sure that all stakeholders also take the responsibility and take hands to make sure that we can curb this killings and also build safer communities. Dr. McDonald and Minister Lund and your teams, thank you very much for the work that you are doing in this space. I think we've already put a lot of emphasis on this because it's such an emotive and important matter for us, but we are not done when it comes to this. I think one of the pleas during the dialogue was that this should not become just a talk shop or a matter where a report gets adopted and then it's forgotten. It gathers dust somewhere on a shelf, but there should be action steps towards, and that is what we are trying to do from our side. So yes, thank you for being with us this morning. This is definitely not the last, but we will keep on engaging and doing what we need to do to make sure that we can indeed assist in building safer communities. There is no other further questions for the Department of Social Development. You are most welcome to stay on with us during the South African Police Service presentation. Or I also am acutely aware that you also have a lot of work that you need to attend to. So if you wish to excuse yourselves at this point, you are most welcome to do so. But perhaps just before we leave, Minister, if you have got any closing remarks, you are most welcome to do so now.
Chairperson, you have a long sitting still ahead of you. Appreciate the manner in which the committee engages, and also from my side, just want to also say publicly to the HOD, thank you for running a very tight ship, him and his team, with not the biggest budget. It is appreciated. It makes my life also a lot easier. Thank you and have a really good day.
Thank you so much, Minister. All the best to you as well.
Thank you.
Major General, we give over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning once more to yourself and to the honourable members.
My apologies. Can we perhaps just have a look at the sound quality? Namonde, is this something that we should do on our side, or is it there by the Major General side?
I think it's there by his side, Chair.
Am I not audible, Chairperson, or is it making noise?
Let's put it on 100.
Yeah, just make it full capacity. It can go even further than that. Can you just go back? Yeah. Thank you. It should be in order now.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Sorry for that inconvenience. Thank you. The presentation that we prepare is for the current financial year. And also I would love to indicate that we're going to talk or touch based on the statistics. That is why we put a disclaimer there. The information is confidential. With regards to the statistics, we all know that they have not been released by the minister. And also these are operational stats, they are live. So during auditing, the picture might change. So it is on those bases that we put a disclaimer. We are going, as directed by the committee, we're going to look at the statistical overview, coordinated intervention, legislative measures, data-driven strategies, and we shall conclude our presentation. On this portion, there isn't much important. It's just response that acknowledge that we were invited and also talk to the stats that we will be presenting. This is more like our background, Chairperson. During April to the 31st of August 2025, a total number of 63 children were murdered in the Western Cape province. Then when we consider the group, between age 15 to 17, they contributed 1% of the murders. 11 to 14, they contributed 11%. Then 6 to 10, 6%, 0 to 5, it's 11%. Then also we took 13 top contributing stations. There might be stations that have got lesser than that, maybe lesser than 2, but we focused on these stations as per the incidents that were reported. Kraaifontein contributes 11%. Philippi East contributes 7.9%. Delft contributes over 6%. Nyanga also over 6%. Mfuleni as well as Samora Machel. Glenflay contributes over 4%. Elsis River over 4%. Then Bishop Lavis, Ravensmith, Kukuletu, Harare, and Case River, they contributed just over 3%. Then when it comes to causative factors, 22% of those matters are gang-related. And then arguments or fights, it's 14%. Matters as a result of robberies, just over 9%. Retaliation and revenge, also over 9%, as well as accidental or caught in the line of fire, that is accidental, also over 9%. Then vigilantism is just 1%. Arson, it's 1%, but that arson changed to murder. I'm going to explain later on. Concealment of death, also over 1%. Rape, also over 1%. When it comes to more explanation on causative factors, it is important to indicate that 18 murders of the kids, we have not identified the cause or the motive, so they are still under investigation. But those matters are of the victims of between 15 and 17 years. Then the age of 14 children were murdered in gang violence is between the ages of 15 and 17, as I indicated earlier on. Then the others that took place as a result of robbery, then these are following stations: Delft, Philippi, Samora Machel. The age group is 15 to 17 years. Then kids killed as a result of robbery with other weapon. Mfuleni, the age is between 11 to 14 years. Then in housebreaking, it's between 6 and 10 years. Age is between 15 and 17. Then also the arson, this arson was changed. Initially, the shack was banned. There were 3 people inside, including the child that is 4 years old. But later on, during investigation, we established that it was the jealous boyfriend that banned the shack. So really it's not arson, but it has been changed to murder. The concealment of birth incident occurred in Case River, where an infant was found wrapped in a plastic bag in the freezer. The mother of the child was declared the suspect, and she was subsequently arrested. Children that are caught in the line of fire is in Kraaifontein, Case River, Nyanga, and Ocean View. Also, those kids were really innocent. 2 children, ages 14 and 16 years, were murdered in the incident at the liquor premises, which is worrying to us because the ages of those kids, or the kids of those ages, are not supposed to be at the places of entertainment where liquor is sold. Coordinated interventions to prevent the child killing in the Western Cape, coordinated interventions involving the departments and organization, as well as the community members, is critical, and we rely on them. Some of the initiatives and the institutions involved are USICO, which offers life skills, mentoring and job readiness programs for children at risk and out of school youth that is in the Stellenbosch area, as well as Kraaifontein. Community and Service Excellence Organization, which is CASE, provides social crime prevention program for children, youth, adults affected by gang violence in Hanover Park. NICRO renders diversion, maybe where kids have committed crimes, to prevent them from having criminal records. The NICRO assist with the diversion. Community engagement, that is fostering collaboration between law enforcement organization, community members to prevent and support the victims. Here we also have the safety school programs. From the April to June, we had conducted more than 1,350 programs at these schools, and we reached 70,000 kids. Also, we randomly searched at the schools. We searched with 7,252 searches that we conducted at those schools. So we just try to prevent at the schools and randomly look at them. And also during the awareness, we look at issues like bullying and so forth, and discourage them from joining the gangs. The legislative measures to address the matters, amongst others, we've got the Children's Act that is an ammunition to us, and Child Justice Act as well, Criminal Law, Sexual Offences and Related Matters, Amendment Act of 2007, Domestic Violence Act, the Prevention and Combating of Trafficking in Persons. I know in this, mostly it's the kids that are affected, and we use it in collaboration with the DBCI that also deals with matters that are across the countries or outside the country. The National Council on Gender-Based Violence and Femicide Act. Data-driven strategies are implemented focusing on high-risk areas. The approach is to identify high-risk areas, which we do. That is why we indicated which stations are of high risk in the previous slide. Strengthening the community safety, enhance also policing capacity. Yes, we would love to be at every school, every place where the kids are, in order to ensure that we bring them up, right? But unfortunately, because of the numbers, we do not have that capacity to touch all these places. Improve crime intelligence. We have got intelligence that is assisting us in serious matters, also in gang-related matters. But we indicated also to the minister yesterday that for a long time, we've got an acting provincial head, but the minister is looking at that because that alone is disturbing. Targeted interventions and data analysis and the review. The key focus areas for data-driven strategies include in the main the gang violence, firearm control, and community engagement. Before we conclude, Chairperson, we want to indicate the challenges that we have a subs, like there's too many kids that are not attending school. You can go to any school, in particular in the hotspots, you will find the kids that are supposed to be at school that are in the street as we speak. And also the issue of dropouts, which is out of our control. It becomes a breeding ground for the gangs. So they use those kids. And you will find that when we conduct investigation, we always complain of the parents that are neglecting the kids that are sent to the shop and they're allowed to play after 6, around 7 o'clock and all that. And also when we have got imbizos, we would love to have other departments. We do invite departments, but unfortunately they do not attend because some of the issues, the root causes cannot be addressed only by police. We would love to have OTST also in attendance there. And also there is a limited number of social workers. Yes, we do try to work with what is available, but the number is limited. And also if you look at gang areas, the gangs, they more like co-govern, if I were to say, because they happen to feed the kids that have got no one to feed, and they look after the elderly in the areas. And the latest intelligence that we have is that they are paying the stipends, paying, I think, something like 2,500 to the young kids to remain the members of the gangs. That is very dangerous. Also, it needs the whole of government approach to see how we can best deal with that, because it makes the communities, in particular the kids, to trust the gangs more than the system. We continue to address this matter from our side, and also we're looking at this issue through the Prof joints where all head of departments are represented. That is our presentation, Chairperson, unless there's something that needs to be clarified on my side.
Major General, thank you very much for the presentation. We welcome your presentation, and again, thank you for your time. I think this round, I'm going to take the first bite at the cherry. If members don't mind, they can, in the meantime, gather their thoughts and jot down their questions. I think my first question, Major General, you have in a way addressed with regards to what is SAPS's collaboration with social development, but also with schools. You've made mention of kids that are supposed to be in school that are not in school. Are there any collaboration with the education department in order to protect those that at-risk children? If not yet, what is the way forward? I mean, the fact that you've mentioned it, you've talked about the whole of government approach. What is your plans going forward to make sure that those departments that are not currently included, that they are collaborating with the South African Police Service? In your presentation, you've covered in terms of certain areas, but also if you can perhaps also take this committee into confidence in terms of what are the internal challenges that SAPS experience with regards to combating these killings on children within our communities. I think I'm going to pause there for now, and then I will most probably have follow-up questions based on the response. I recognize Member Kasim.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and thank you for the presentation as well. I just wanted to check, Chairperson, in terms of the school programs, how often does these school programs run, especially on the Cape Flats? And then I wanted to check if I want to go back to Mitchell's Plain, and it comes back. I've got the parents who are currently listening in, those parents who are seeking assistance, because like I mentioned, these gangsters are now going as far as schools to go and recruit these kids. So I wanted to check, in terms of SAPS, we're trying to influence the kids to not get involved with drugs and gangsterism. But I want to again bring to the attention that during a march in Mitchell's Plain sometime last month, the captain that was in charge there, I think his name was Lieutenant Peterson, on live footage told children and residents that it's not a crime to be a gangster. So while we're trying to eradicate gangsterism and drugs in the area and trying to prevent our kids from getting involved with these types of activities. How do you deal with captains or lieutenants like Lieutenant Peterson who are somehow influencing these kids, saying that it's okay to be a gangster when he says it's not a crime to be a gangster. He can't arrest a gangster. So I just wanted to check, how do you deal with lieutenants or police or employees from SAPS when it comes to them making comments like that to not only adults but also kids who are part of that protest? And these are communities where drugs and gangsterism are increasing on a daily basis. We see child murders, and on the issue of child murders, I don't see Mitchell's Plain and Grassy Park as part of their stats there. So I wanted to check, is this an updated report? Because we definitely had child murders in the Grassy Park area and the Mitchell's Plain area, among other areas, in the last few months. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Member Kassim. Major General, I'm going to give you an opportunity to speak to the first two questions, and then immediately after, I will recognize Member Stevens and Member Van Vogel. You may proceed, sir.
Thank you very much. In collaboration with education, yes, in the safety program, we do interact with education, in particular those that are at the schools. But also, we'd love to get some commitment from the provincial and national level, because I think the act that relates to education was revisited. It is somewhere an offense for kids of certain ages not to be at school, but I'm not very sure of the punishment, or what are we doing? Is education fully implementing that so that the parents can be held responsible where they are not taking the kids to school? With regard to the departments that are on board, we keep on inviting, but also we request this committee to ensure that a word goes out to the departments that are supposed to be there, all education, DSD, and others that are in the all government approach, that have got a role to play. So if we have got imbizos, for example, I think we can come up with something. Yes, alone we cannot resolve this, and maybe with them, but we can make an impact if we all speak the same language. Chairperson, coming to the combating of infanticides and other crimes, the awareness campaigns that I'm speaking about at schools and at imbizos, that is also one of the ways to ensure that we combat it, and we discourage the kids, because you will see the gang-related takes about 22% of those. Then some of those kids are members of the gangs. So it is important that we get also the assistance of the parents and also of the structures in the communities to ensure that we discourage them. Yes, we have got our programs that we combat gang violence in general, which also touches the matter of the kids. So we are busy with those strategies and the recovery of firearms, which are generators of crime. Yesterday only we recovered 19 firearms at one place. So if I may indicate that we're recovering a lot of firearms. From April to date, we have recovered more than 800 firearms. So if each week we recover out 73 the last week, and this current week we recovered 73 firearms. So, but we would love also the communities to assist us. They must have trust in the police. Then the other one was the school program. We've got the school programs that they take place weekly. Yes, we do focus in the main on the top stations, but for a year, we've got a program that we focus on all the stations. But as we go on, you will see that certain stations, they become hotter than others. So which might cause us to deviate from those programs. So like I indicated that we had about 1,350 programs that we conducted at the school, reaching 70,000. Maybe now that it is a bit hot in the Cape Flats schools, or police prisons, then we can revisit our program to ensure that we focus more on that. Then we would love to get the information that relates to the remarks that were made by Captain Peterson, so that we investigate that. I'm not sure if the member, what is it that she can assist us with, so that we conduct investigation into this. We cannot be fighting gangsterism, and there is a member of our own who says it is okay to join the gangs. It cannot be. It cannot be, and we cannot convey that from SAPS. We distance ourselves from that, but we would love to get more information so that we can act on that narrative. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Major General. Perhaps just on my question, our communities are saying that the police are not doing enough. Is there any information? Can you take this committee into your confidence in sharing with us? Are there any internal challenges that the South African Police Service are experiencing to adequately and effectively and efficiently deal with this issue in our province?
Thank you, Chair. I think just like any institution, we have the shortage of the resources in terms of the people. I think the committee understands that the budget of the police was cut down by 2.8 billion, which means that affects also the resourcing of the institution. Yes, we would love to resolve all the cases, but we don't do that. So which means also our proactive policing is not 100% in terms of us getting intelligence, and also the communities. That is why we request that it is the responsibility of all of us as citizens to provide information. So maybe there is a bit of not being trusted by the communities, but we would love to get that information. So they can even direct the information straight to the provincial level if they think that they don't trust the local police. But we will always work on that. So those are some of the challenges that we'll have. Yes, we've got incidents like the one that has been cited of Captain Peterson that we might not be aware of because it has not been communicated to the provincial level. But we request that the communities, if they identify anything, they must report either to the CPF or report straight to the office of the provincial commissioner. We shall work on that. We have, like I've indicated, Chair, we have arrested a number of gang members. We have, from April, I think we arrested about 45 high-profile gang members. And also we have convictions that you have heard ranging from 5 years up to life term imprisonment. From April to date, we attained 18 life sentences. So in the serious crimes, that is murder in particular. So we might not be communicating well what we are doing, but we do, yes, we do fail in the sense that we do not resolve everything, and also we do not respond promptly at certain times due to the limited numbers that we are having. We would love to be in each street, but also we use technology to ensure that it assists us in some areas. In some we win, in some we do fail. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Major General. I am recognizing the Honourable Member Stevens and then the Honourable Member Kassim.
Thank you, Chair. My question is on community-based programs. Why can't they let the community, such as identifying neighborhood hotspots to create safe environment? But on that, how many times do a person give the police, telling them like, this is a hotspot, but they ignoring you? Like I was... I'm sorry for that.
Yes, we lost you there, Member Stevens. Can you please just repeat? You may proceed, Member Stevens. Let's give an opportunity for Member Stevens to sort out her technical difficulties. Member Kassim, over to you. Member Kasim, you're muted. Member Kasim. Honorable members, can you hear me?
Chairperson, yes, we can hear you. It's Member Kasim who has fallen away.
Thank you. Because with both members not answering, I thought it might be me. Thank you, Member Boyson. I then move over to Member Walters.
Chair, we had a response about the remarks made that Member Kasim referred to, but it does beg the question, does the police service regard membership of a gang, a criminal organization? Do they regard it as a crime per se? I've spoken recently to somebody that used to be in the National Prosecuting Authority, and certainly my understanding from that individual is that membership of a criminal organization, an entity that's involved with criminal activities, is in fact a crime. So can we get a definitive answer what the view is of the SAPS? Is membership of a criminal organization considered a crime by the police?
Thank you very much, Member Walters. And I see Member Kasim's back. Member, you may proceed.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I think that Member Walters just covered my first question. And then also secondly, I would definitely like to follow up on that issue of Lieutenant Peterson, because I just want to raise the issue of what happened on that day as well. It was a peaceful protest, and because of this lieutenant making this comment, the specific gangsters started coming forward because they saw that they were being protected by the police, and because of this, um, the gangsters basically started fighting with the residents who were protesting. And in that not protesting, but it was a peaceful picket. In that peaceful picket, there was children as well. And because of the comments that were made by the specific lieutenant, the gangsters thought it was okay to come and attack those who were protesting against drugs and gangsterism. So I just wanted to add also, in the Mitchell's Plain area, the police who were deployed on that day, after the march, when the resident says, but here these gangsters are coming to our house, because we were there with the media as well, and the gangsters pinpointed the houses of the residents who were marching in that program. And when the residents told the police on duty that these gangsters just came to my house and said that we know your faces, we're going to come and do something to you, or we're going to throw a bomb. And the police that were deployed there with Lieutenant Peterson on the day said that it's your own fault. You put your life at risk, so there's nothing we can do. We can't open a case for you. So how sure are we, the question that I have, how sure are we that the police who are deployed to these marches in the different communities are actually police who are deployed by SAPS? Because a lot of, or from the specific police station, because of a lot of the police are involved with these gangs, and this is what we saw on that specific day, that these SAPS officials were actually protecting, and the funny thing is they actually knew all of these members' names on the day. So I wanted to check how safe are we with the police who are actually deployed to these gang and drug infested communities, especially when we're having programs where we are showing SAPS officials that this is the drug house, this is where guns are. And furthermore, we also found SAPS certificates in some of the houses that we pointed out, and the police deployed on the days told us that if we're going to go into houses and we're going to get a bit rough, they're going to stop the whole program. So I just wanted to check how safe are we with those SAPS officials who are being deployed to such programs, especially when community residents are putting their trust in the police? Because like you said, you want residents to trust the police and to feel safe around them. But how do we feel safe with them if the police are themselves involved with these gangsters? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Member Kasim. I hand over to you, Major General.
Thank you very much. I started to capture the last question, or what is really required. However, when it comes to the trust, I've indicated that yes, we do have rotten apples amongst ourselves like in any other department. But the key thing is to ensure that that is reported to the authorities so that we can act, because we do need the information from the communities, and we have dismissed a number of members who have committed crime amongst us, and we have arrested many of them. So we will love that at least if maybe the members do get information, they must try to convey us, and we'll see how best we can convince the people to ensure that the information that is provided is acted upon. With regard to is it a crime to be a member of the gang or not? I think that is dictated or directed by chapter 4 and section 9 of chapter 4 of the POCA, which indicates that, I think it's 9.1, that it is an offense to be a member of the gang, but you must commit 3 other things. There's 9.1 A, B, and C. So it just to say the person is a member of the fancy gangs, we have had discussion with NPA, it becomes very difficult because that is not completed. He must have committed other crimes like intimidation and whatever. So if we get those pieces, we can see that the person has got the marks or any thing that indicates that he's a member of the gang. Then he has committed maybe a small crime like intimidation. We can invoke on those instances now, chapter 4, section 9 of the Act. But we really encourage the people to report to us. On the hotspot, I think it was indicated that we ignore the information identifying the hotspot by the communities. We work with the communities. We've got meetings at the stations and we service them. However, hotspot is directed or dictated to by the trends and patterns and also by the information. I don't think if the stations, if that is happening, that is incorrect. Also, would love to know those stations so that we can address the problem from our side. The first one was on community-based programs. Sorry, Chair, can I get there? I think it was your question.
On the which one is that, Major General?
I think there was something on community
we're not doing
based
enough.
programs.
Yes. The perception that SAPS is not doing enough when it comes to this scourge in our communities.
Oh, thank you, Chair. I think earlier on I had
yes, you
touched
did
on-
speak to the resources and so forth.
Thank you.
The capacity issues, yes.
Thank you, Chair.
I
That is
think
my
you
response.
needed clarity on the last question of Member Kasim, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I've done so, Chair.
Sure. Mem, are you covered in terms of your response?
Yes, I'm covered, Chair.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, are there any follow-up questions? Member Stevens, are you back? There's no indication. Any follow-up questions, members? Member Kasim?
Thank you, Chairperson. I just wanted to go back to the school searches. I just wanted to check how many weapons, whether it be guns or knives or drugs, has been found on schools on the Cape Flats for the duration of the stats that were given. Stats period. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Member. Major General?
Thank you, Chair. We omitted to provide that information because reading from the instruction or the request from the committee was more on prevention measures, but maybe I can request that we provide the committee in writing. We provide that in writing. We got a lot. We got drugs as well. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Major General. Honorable members, are there any further questions? I just have a last question, but I just want to see if there's anyone else that's got a burning question. Member Kasim, please proceed.
sorry, Chairperson, this is my last one. Also, in that report, in that report of the weapons that will be given to the committee, can we also get an indication if there was any involvement from teachers who were found with drugs on schools, or possible recruitment involving teachers and learners on these schools in the Cape Flats? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Member Kasim. I'm sure our procedural officer has also made a note of that. Major General, do you have any information at this point readily available to share with this committee?
No, Chair, I don't have in that regard. I will, as promised, I commit that I'm going to submit that in writing.
Thank you very much. And we will also formally write to you pertaining to the required information. Major General, I think also just my last question. What is a great concern, and I'm sure to other members as well, and I've heard this a lot from the communities in which we work, the behavior and the perception of young children, who act out this gang language and display gang signs, that we should not underestimate these behaviors as well. Sometimes children playingly do it. Sometimes they imitate older people, but it gets somehow normalized within our communities where children, glorify this language and these symbols, and that in a way also grooms our children, and they often get recruited into these gangs. This is not just a behavioral concern, but it should also be a warning sign for us, Major General. And I think that in itself also calls for urgent child-focused prevention programs in our communities, but as well in our schools. Are there any measures that SAPS are implementing to curb the early socialization of young children into the gang culture, particularly with the use of gang language and signs? And as I said, which often serves as an entry point for grooming and recruiting young children into these gangs. Are there any such programs that you are instituting in the various communities in the Western Cape?
Thank you very much, Chair. Like I indicated earlier on, that in such actions we need in the main other departments, because those are very young kids, where we need soft approach. So if with education and DST and other programs and other departments, we can help a lot. But our actions that we conduct at school, they do include that to discourage the kids from joining the gangs, and also from bullying each other. It's a number of actions that we have that is contained in our program, Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Major General. And indeed, that is why we are having these conversations, and also within the mandate of the Standing Committee, doing everything in our power to assist in the search. Honorable members, are there any comments, any question that you would want to pose to the South African Police Service? Member Boyson, anything from your side?
Chairperson, I have been covered by the previous members who've asked questions, but just to say to Major General Chairperson is that we as a committee, we are there to assist SAPS because we are all affected by what is happening. And this is now regardless of what color t-shirts we wear as committee members, but the plight is the same. So Major General must feel free when we invite him and his team, and to also ask for assistance where we can, because at times they don't want to get involved in politics, but when it comes to these matters, we are not playing politics at all. Thank you, Chair.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Member Boyson. I know Member Johnson is online. He can hear us, but he is experiencing some technical difficulties, but he did indicate to me that he's covered. Member Walters, anything from your side?
The Chair, when we get to committee resolutions, I have an input to make.
Sure.
But otherwise, I'm covered.
Thank you very much, Member. Member Kasim?
Thank you, Chairperson. Nothing from my side. I'll wait for the committee resolutions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Member. Major General, thank you very much, and your team on that side for your indulgence and attending to the invitation of the committee this morning. This was not the first. This will definitely not be the last, but I want to echo the sentiments expressed by the Honourable Member Boyson. Indeed, that we are forming this network of, interested parties and stakeholders as to how best we can be of service to the people and attending to this very problematic and sad event that occurs too often. We are really now, we've had it with the headlines. We need to actively pursue this challenge with all that we have within our respective mandates and within our respective power. Are there any closing remarks from your side, sir?
Thank you very much, Chairperson. We have taken note of the remarks that were made, as well as the recommendation and the guidance. We appreciate the guidance that has been provided to us by the committee. And we hope that also in the engagements by the honorable members in the communities, they will encourage the parents, because in particular in the gang infested areas, you will find that the communities, they complain a lot when the incidents have happened, but we are getting very little from the parents. For example, if you take the area, the point that you raise as last of the kids, that where the gears of the gangs, they appreciate that. So there is little discouragement one can deduct from the parents. So we would love them to play the role, because when they are shooting, everybody in the area happens to be affected. But once again, from SAPS, we appreciate your guidance as the committee, and we are committed to work and do our work properly. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. All the best with your work and Godspeed, and thank you so much. You are excused. We'll be in touch. Thank you. Honourable members, that leaves us with our committee resolutions. Ms. Jamke, if you can perhaps take us through what you have jotted down, and then members can amend accordingly, please.
Okay, thank you, Chair. The first one on the DSD presentation is the states of child matters. And I think also the members wanted the details per cases, but the HOD indicated that information is within the Department of Health, the forensic pathology. So I don't know whether that request will go to DSD or the committee will write directly to the Department of Health.
Yes, we will make reference to this engagement and to the comment made by the HOD, and then we will subsequently request the information from the Department of Health and Wellness.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Then the second one is breakdown of services for children with behavioral problem. So we'll get that from the Department of Social Development. Then the department will also provide in writing detailed information on child protection services provided in Misha's Plain. And the other one is detailed information for safety houses in the northern area, northern suburbs. And Member Stevens will also provide the department or share with the department on the safety parent that were alleged for not getting the safety parent fee. Then
so how are we framing that one?
No, this is just a drafted, Chair, for me, but yeah, I can frame. Okay. I think I will have to get more info from Member Stevens, because that is what the department need. When we send this information to the department, we need to also provide the details that we'll get from Member Stevens regarding the person. Okay, on the
yes,
on the SAPS presentation, it's only detailed report on the number of weapons whether guns or knives or drugs have been found in our schools, especially in the Cape Flats, for the duration of the stats that was given by SEPS. So those are the ones that have managed to capture, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Namonde. Then I see Member Walters.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Chair, I listened very carefully to the response about what is a crime or whether it's a crime to be a member of a gang. I think if it's possible for the committee to get a legal opinion in this regard, that we just get our heads around this. Because what bothers me in the response, and look, and I think the response was given in good faith, but what bothers me about the response is it sounds like members of gangs can only be arrested, essentially if they commit an act of intimidation. It sort of deals with the symptoms rather than the call it the cause or the organizational aspect behind it. And I think it has crucial implications for how a school, for example, deals with criminal activity or criminal activities or gang activities around a school. Now, I would suggest we get a legal opinion in this regard, because I think it could also inform changes in legislation. I am not convinced that legislation helps us, particularly with the issue of protecting children, protecting safe spaces, protecting schools. I can also extend this, Chair, to the issue that you've been driving of protecting social workers. If you simply leave it to the act, a specific criminal act, it becomes incredibly tricky, because mere membership of a gang could be in itself an intimidating factor without an active act of intimidation. So while I don't believe there's silver bullets to this problem, it's a very complex problem with lots of solutions. I think there is a particular issue there that I don't know whether it escaped us as legislators in the past. And it's perhaps something we should drill down into. Let's get a definitive legal opinion, and perhaps also let's interrogate whether there is improvements in legislation that can be done. I find it very difficult to get my head around, if you are knowingly part of an organization that commits crimes, that in itself is not problematic. So I think we need to explore that. Yes, I think there's a balancing with freedom of association, but as we all know, rights are limited by comparisons, or call it balancing with other rights. So I think there's a discussion there to be held. Chair, I think I'm not sure whether it's the kind of discussion that should be held maybe in a joint committee with other committees that are affected, or whether it's something that only this committee should drive. I leave that in your competent hands. But I would suggest the start would be to get a legal opinion and a legal critique of that particular legislation. Thanks.
Sure. Thank you very much, Member Walters. You've noted that, Ms. Jamke?
Yes, sure.
Can I add to that? And honorable members, please correct me if I'm wrong on this one, or please advise accordingly. I feel very strongly about, the use of gang language and symbols. It's not harmless. We've seen it. We experience that in our communities. Is that something perhaps that we can also ask? I mean, in terms of legally, can someone be held accountable legally for sort of enhancing the use thereof, that sort of promotes gangsterism in the various communities? And I mean, we've got, as this committee, we've got certain steps going forward that might impact on legislation as well. Can we then, in the meantime, also add that to a legal opinion? I don't see any objection to that. Member Kasim?
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, I just wanted to second that suggestion of Member Walters as well for a joint committee. Because I was having a conversation, and a conversation with someone right now while in the meeting, and he was saying, these gangs don't exist as NGOs; they exist for purposes of crime. So that legal opinion will really assist the committee as well. But I think that we really need to have a joint committee, not only with the police oversight, but also with the education committee as well, in terms of this issue of gangsterism, especially when it comes to children within our communities who are being recruited on a daily basis. Thank you, Chairperson.
Duly noted and recorded. Thank you very much, Member Kasim. Honourable members, are there any other additions? Member Walters?
The Chair, maybe to latch on to what you were saying about, call it, I can't find the correct term, but call it gang propaganda, which I think in itself creates an intimidating environment. I think we should perhaps explore that point of yours, also looking at what constitutes intimidation. So if you, for example, in a school environment, kids leaving school, and there's a sort of a kind of a gang, call it symbolism, slogans, language, the kind of thing that you're referring to, at what point does it become in itself intimidation? Reasonably speaking, in terms of the law, when does it become intimidation? And again, I think, Chair, I'm making these points because I think it will inform us in terms of what to pursue at what level of government in terms of legislation. So I really want to thank you for this session, because two things came out here which I think are actually could be quite crucial going forward. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Member Walters. Any other inputs, members? I don't see any further hands. Ms. Jamke, as per the normal, if there's any other clarity needed on those, I don't see Member Stevens. She might also experience some technical difficulties. And then we will have a look at the draft before we send the various requests as indicated by members. Are there any other committee business that we need to attend to?
No, Chair.
We covered for today.
Yes.
Ms. Jamke,
Yes.
thank you very much for your diligent procedural support. Ms. Burgess, I see you online as well. Thank you very much. Thank you to our ICT support and all honourable members. Thank you for engaging in this very important conversation, and also to your commitment pertaining to the protection and safety of the children in the Western Cape. Member Walters, I recognize you.
Chair, I have no idea that happened. My apologies.
Not a problem. Thank you very much, members. That concludes our business for today. All the best for the rest of your program. Be safe on the roads. God bless. And our meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Chair.